these times really are about embracing the polarity, not trying to avoid it. The birth and the death, the sweetness and the sorrow, the ecstasy and the agony, and that we chose to be here now in this body, in our ancestral lines, on this planet at this time, and like what a full-on time that we chose to come.
Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Impact the World, and this is a conversation that has been a long time coming. I'm joined today by the wonderful Rebecca Campbell. Many of you will probably be familiar with Rebecca's work, and if you aren't, Rebecca has been the author of 4 books, multiple oracle card decks, and she also teacher trains people to read oracle cards and many different offerings and courses over the years. And even though we've known of each other for a long time, this was our first time meeting in person. So it's been lovely to sit with Rebecca and have a conversation about creativity and following the calling of your soul, sacred sites, and also to get a little bit under the hood of Rebecca's creative process and how it works for her. I really enjoyed this. I hope you will too. And you can find all of Rebecca's work at rebeccacampbell.me. And we will also put all links to her work in the show notes. But for now, hope you enjoy the conversation. Rebecca, hello. It's so nice to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Lee. How amazing being in LA.
I know, and it's funny because you and I have known of each other for about 12 years, but today is our first day meeting in person, and we got connected in communication some months back when I was in the UK. You live in the UK, although you're from Australia, and it was funny. I was just taking a trip down memory lane when I was going back to, I think we were saying it was maybe around 2013 when you first came out with your work in a bigger way. That was when I first remember seeing you and hearing of you, and here we are.
I know.
12 years later.
How wonderful. And our friend John Holland as well connected us as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, of course. That was how it started. That was last year. Well, thank you for being here. And it's always interesting when you meet people from our field in person when you have seen their work. And one of the things, because some people are exactly what you expect and some people are a little different, or their personality is more apparent. And with you, 2 things hit me when you walked in. Number one, you're very tall.
I definitely am.
And it's not just the shoes you're wearing.
Yes, when you're on a little screen.
Exactly. And number 2, not surprisingly, but quite enjoyably, you have that wild creative energy. And of course, often when we're delivering to camera, there's a certain, we have to kind of draw it in. And, But you have, just being in your presence and chatting to you before we got started, you have that lovely, wild, creative energy, which is not a surprise to me at all.
Oh, thank you so much, Lee. And it's so incredible to meet you as well, because I've been following your work for such a long time. And I know that, I'm not sure if you feel the same, but for me, my work as a channel, as a creative, as a mystic, it's so through direct experience that it's such a relief to be able to be in conversation with someone who is going through that as well. And we all do it in our own unique way, but it's a relief. And I know when John Holland connected us, because I was exploring something in particular to do with channeling, and I just so appreciated our conversation when we had that. Yeah, no, that was lovely. And maybe, maybe we'll start a little bit in that area of channeling, because I think what I always knew of you and your work, there were a few things that hit me immediately when you came out with your work. The very first thing that hit me about you, which I now understand why, was you had this incredible vibration of beauty and creativity around your work, which wasn't common actually at the time. It kind of, you stood out with that. And then I later found out that you came from a creative director background, and I know that design and beauty and so I love seeing that vibration and how that is such a core theme in all of your work and all of your teachings. But I didn't know until more recently your explorations with direct channeling. And I know that's been
that's been a thread for you the whole time, but there's been an amplification of that in recent years.
Yeah.
How did that come about? And
It first began when I first had my awakening, well, the first one. I think we have several as we go on. But when I was a young teenager, I began connecting with children who had passed, and I would then be connected to their mothers. Now, it's only been recently that I'm kind of putting those threads together and being like, why didn't I study mediumship? And I know that's not my path, that mental mediumship route, but channeling has always been so strong. And for me, I've always struggled to separate mysticism, spirituality with creativity. I always knew I was here to create. And when I first had the vision of the work I do now, I couldn't quite work out how to make it happen because I knew I wanted to be a creative rather than when I was a teenager, I'd look at people who were in the more spiritual world and it was more like, like a medium or a body worker or a kinesiologist or whatever. And so I just always felt like I had these two separate parts of me and like I had this double life in a way. And like my affirmation has always been my creations inspire people all over the world. And for me, creativity is just as important as the teacher or channel route. And I actually see them as the very same thing.
It's so true, because I've always felt like creativity is spirituality in action. And the one word I identify with for myself is creator.
Yes.
And of course, there are sub-words. There's channeler, there's intuitive and all that stuff. But creator has been the through line for me since I was a kid. And I'm always encouraging anyone who's feeling spiritually blocked to get into creativity, whatever it looks like, whether it's cooking, gardening, writing a poem, it can be anything. But so to me, they're so twinned. And I love feeling that in you and seeing that through all your work. Yeah. Well, let's talk about your work for a second. So we were just saying that you kind of came out there in a bigger way in around 2012, 2013. What were you doing right before, and how did you make the leap from going from the job or the work that you were doing into being this spiritual author and oracle deck creator and teacher?
Well, I've really had a double life. I was fascinated by the mysteries. I was studying intuition, psychic development, all of that since I was a teenager, all through my 20s into my 30s. But it didn't quite feel like, I just never saw it as a path. I thought I was fascinated by it. I wanted to learn as much as I could, but I never saw it as a career. And then by day, I was a creative in advertising. So my job was literally to come up with ideas. And I would, I'd work in Sydney. I moved to London. I worked in London. I was very motivated, driven. I wanted to work at the best agencies with the best mentors, and had an amazing career. But what I would do is I would do my best creative thinking in nature. So I would walk along the beach in the morning and I'd get my ideas. I'd connect with the spirits of the land and be like, whatever creations are wanting to flow through me onto the planet, into consciousness, deliver them to me now. And so really I was like an undercover light worker. And it was very conscious that I was doing that. And I learned so much as a copywriter, as an art director, which nothing's ever wasted, right? And there has been many times in my life where I've been like, oh my gosh, why didn't I start this part of the path sooner? And I remember the moment when I realized that I was being called in this different direction. And I remember feeling quite frustrated and upset actually, because I had consciously created this life. I'd put so much into this career as a creative director in advertising, but I just knew it didn't fit my soul anymore. And so I think it made it a little easier. I had a couple of, my best friend, Blair, passed away. He was an undercover light worker as well. He was an actor. And we always said that when we become really successful in our careers, we'll then write a book, a spiritual book.
Right.
And I remember the moment he passed, I found out he had fallen into a coma very unexpectedly. And I got on the plane from London to Sydney, and I was somewhere over the Middle East, and I physically felt him on my body. I felt him kiss me, and I just knew he was gone. And it was like a line in the sand. Like, I'm getting chills now. Like, everything was going to change. And I felt him with me while we were in Sydney preparing for his funeral, and very much around me. And when I came back to London as well, I just felt his presence constantly there, and it felt like it was propelling me to really take the leap. I remember even seeing a medium. It was in a group setting, and he came through and basically brought up the book as well. So it was definitely his passing and him going into spirit world was something that definitely propelled me forward, and I dedicated my first book to him. So yeah, but around the same time as well, I then had another really good friend who passed. My long-term relationship ended. It was just, rock bottom, grief stricken kind of moments. And I think when we experience them, it's like, for me, I'm a Virgo. I've got a strong will, Aries moon. I can hold it together and just like push through if I want to. But the grief did something to my mind with my ego. It was just like, I surrender, I give up. And it felt like that cracking open just like created more space for my soul to kind of come in more fully. And this was around 2010, 2011, going into 2012, end of 2012, when we thought the world was going to end.
Yeah, that's right. We did, didn't we?
Yeah. I had a period of a very physical Kundalini awakening around that time as well, and that's when the outline of the first book came in. I connected with the group of guides that I wrote that book with, the Council of Light. They came in. I knew what that book was all about, and I was waiting for that moment where the call was stronger than the resistance. I had so much resistance. I was, oh my gosh, like these are the days of Instagram for the first time. I can do a selfie now, no problem, but I was so afraid to be visible, so afraid to be seen. I remember knowing that my calling was to be visible and to share my voice. And I would walk in nature every morning, be like, okay, I'm going to do my writing 10 minutes, 15 minutes on my way to work. But eventually, in the next couple of weeks, I have to take a photo of myself, like a selfie. And I literally, the first photo I posted on Instagram was like from here up of my head, like post-meditation. And each day it was like a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. So it was a really big deal for me to step into this work.
But I love how you approached it like an art director.
Yeah.
That's very good. That's not like the rest of us would have just gone, boom, here's the photo. But you were like, that's very good. That's very good. We'll be right back to the conversation in just a moment, so stay tuned. London, are you ready for energy mastery? Who here likes the idea of a little bit of gentleness after the last few months? Yeah, me too.
Embrace your power and transform your life over a weekend of cosmic connection and soul expansion with Lee Harris.
When you come together with a focused intent to increase your energy mastery, and you do that with a group of people, incredible amplification happens.
Join us for channeled wisdom, grounded teaching, soul-infused music with Devor Bozique, community participation, and connection.
You never know who's going to show up, you never know what's going to be asked, you never know what's going to be focused in the room. It's the beauty of being live with each other that is its own co-creative mystery.
Energy Mastery with Lee Harris, September 13th and 14th in London. Limited seating, reserve now.
And actually, to give context to what you're saying, especially if you're watching this and listening to this and you're younger, like back then, we were all like discovering, this is a thing called Facebook.
Yes, exactly.
Now I think people coming through, it's like, this is normal. But it wasn't normal.
No.
It was, And I think you've got light work of fear of exposure, which is normal. You know, the healer, kind of the healer initiation path, which is you go through all of these isms and schisms and all the stuff that would stop you putting yourself out there. And then I think as a culture, we were going through both a fascination and a judgment and a fear of this social media. Like I remember like the older generation at the time were like, I'm not putting my business on, which wasn't an incorrect, like culturally, that was the correct response from their generation. And then the rest of us were somewhere in the middle or trying to figure it out.
So true. And well, what was it like for you? Because you started, you said 2006?
2006, my first video went on YouTube.
Wow, that's amazing. Oh my gosh,
I know, it is crazy when I think about it now. But like you know, I remember the day after my first video went out, I cried. Like that's how.
And what was that emotion?
Vulnerability.
Yeah.
I've just done something that could make me a target, or that could, you know, and especially because it was a channeling video.
And was that like you as the person, you as the soul, both?
No, that was me as the human.
Yeah, you as the human.
No, the soul was
like,
fine.
Let's go.
The soul was like, we've got this thing to do.
That's amazing.
It was more my human conditioning and my understanding of other humans.
And were you in the UK then, or here?
I was. And I was in partnership with another channeler who had more confidence than I did in that way. So in a way, I was kind of, you know, the two of us together did it at the time. I don't know if I would have done that myself at that time.
That's really interesting, because I did the same thing. My really good friend, Robin Silverton, we met during one of our psychic development trainings. And we started doing these sessions in London, spirited sessions. And there's no way I would have taught had I not been with her. You know, it was such a big deal. But with someone else, it just makes it so much easier.
And I know lots of people who that's true for. So it's a great thing for anyone who wants to embark on this work to consider, you know, team up with someone, or even if it's just for a period of time, or to try it out.
Exactly. Or just do one workshop together.
Exactly. It can be a really good.
So true.
Yeah. So you did that, and it's fair to say that in the time since you did that, you've been pretty unstoppable and had 2 children, which isn't bad, really.
Yeah.
Because you know, you've contributed so much to the field now through your books, through your many different oracle decks. What is the process of writing for you? Because I know writing is such a core of your work, and you've even shared on your website that it's a personal practice for you. It always has been. What is your process when you're doing a deck or a book? What does it look like for you to sit and write?
So first of all, I need to know what energy I'm connecting with. I'm never just writing like from my mind, or from I want to teach someone X, Y, and Z. I've never written a book like that. It's been like a merging with. My consciousness is very much there, but I'm merging with some other consciousness. And if I know what I'm writing, like my first 2 books in particular, it was very clear who the person was I was writing to, and it was a version of me from when I was younger. And so I would either ask the energy that I was working with to speak to me and through me, or to a younger version of me. Yeah, so it might be me as a 14-year-old, me as a, I wish my process was more linear, in the sense of like doing a book outline and just kind of going through the chapters like that. It is not like that at all. It's quite messy, it's very feminine, but it comes quick. And I tend to do all my writing while I'm walking. And it's really interesting when my latest book, Your Soul Had a Dream, Your Life Is It. So it's my 4th book that I've done the audio for, right? And I'm dyslexic. I hated reading out loud at school. The thought of reading an audiobook, being in a room for that long, oh my God. But it took me 4 books doing the audiobook for to understand what my writing process is. And what happens is when my writing comes in, there's a real rhythm to it. And you can tell if it's been too edited, because the rhythm's gone. And I think the rhythm is part of the walking. And because it does feel like I don't think of what I'm saying. I might get it's probably my copywriter background. I might get a headline or a hook to start with. Like I remember when I wrote one chapter of my first book, You're Not For Everyone. I knew that was the title. But then as I would walk, and I do it mainly on my phone, it'll be word, 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 like that. And it's kind of like following a thread like this, and I'm receiving it in that way. That's always been my writing process. Even when I was in advertising, it's the same thing. Like it just kind of drops in. I think it's clairaudience that is the strongest sense when I'm writing. But yeah, that's the process.
Very cool. And is it different for you when you're doing an oracle deck, or is it similar? Because there's such different formats, aren't they?
Yes and no. Like most of the chapters of my book are short, not all, but many of them, and so that kind of lends itself to oracle decks in a way. And a lot of people use my books as a oracle deck in that way. But how I do my decks is I always have an overall concept and I know the energy. That's the number one thing. I always have an altar with that energy or with the guides or whatever it is that I'm working with. It's like really cultivating that. So it's like a transmission, it's an activation. And then with decks, I'll always write out the card names, and I normally have like about 400 and I have it all up on the wall, super sticky Post-it notes, and I just move them around and group them, and it's quite energetic, and then I might merge different headlines and some will become sublines, but I always start there. And then I'll work with an artist. My artists have always been very energetic. So it's not so much about making a pretty picture. It's always very layered, and it has to be like holding the transmission. Sometimes, and this is why I love doing oracle cards so much, is that in some cases it's based on a mystical experience that I've had, or a dream or something, where we're kind of bringing to life something that has been very energetic. So I think that's important for me. And and then sometimes the words come first, sometimes the picture comes first. It's kind of happening around the same time. Yeah. Nice. Often the words first. But
nice.
Yeah, if I need to, and then I will do the same thing. I'll go for a walk and write that one, and so I'll have a list. I'm very organized.
Yeah, that's great.
And so having my a list, whether it's on Notion or Apple Notes or whatever, where it's like, okay, these are the card names, which one am I going to do? And I'll scan it, and so I very much feel it, and then I go for it. Yeah.
Great, nice. Well, going back a second to nature and you and your mystical downloads, I read on your website, prepping to speak to you today, that when you were 18 years old, you worked 5 jobs so that you could save money to fly to the UK and go to all of these different sacred sites, including Scotland and Ireland. And I mean, that's as you say on your piece of writing, you're proud of yourself that you did that you had the conviction to do that. And now you live in Glastonbury. So tell us a little bit about what sacred sites have done for you. Like what have you experienced when you've gone to these sacred sites? What do you experience?
I feel like it's a two-way exchange where, so first of all, I think a sacred site holds with it all the devotion and energy that everyone has brought to it. I also believe that many of these sacred sites were built there in the first place because the earth held, like the energy of the earth, that's where it began, you know, and then it turned into a goddess site or a stone circle or whatever. I do believe that, I used to think it was just the soul memory when you would go there, and something would be activated in the soul if your soul had experienced that place, or your soul would experience the energy that people had put into that place. But I think it's ancestral as well. I used to think that when it came to memories that I had, I used to think they were all past life memories, but I'm realizing now how many were ancestral. And me, as I get so touched imagining me as that 18-year-old, 19-year-old traveling to these places, I didn't know what I was doing. I can look back and be like, oh, that's what I did. I didn't know what I was doing. I was called and pulled by something that I had always yearned for, this longing for home without quite knowing what and where or what that is, that unseen yearning that I think many of us have. And I thought that was just soul, but it was definitely ancestral too. I grew up in Australia, and the bulk of my ancestry is from Europe. And I think that longing for home that many of us feel is threefold. Yes, there's the soul part of us, where whether you consider yourself a starseed or someone who's experienced lifetimes elsewhere or even other places on the planet. Second of all, there's the ancestral yearning. So with me, most of my ancestors were not from the land that I was born on. And then third is we have been so severed from the earth, seeing the earth as sacred, the earth as mother. And I think that this, when we feel separate from the earth, just because we've not been taught to see the earth as sacred, we're then separate from ourselves because we are earth ourselves, like through what we eat, like we are part of earth. And then of course, each other as well. And so I think it's threefold. And the further I get along my journey, the kind of deeper I kind of get to how tragic it is that we don't see the sacred that's right here in front of us, that we think we got kicked out of the garden, whereas it's just like the sacred is already here. It's in the rose, the plants, the trees, the flowers, and the stars, of course. Yeah. But the earth is part of the cosmos, and I think so often on our spiritual journey, and it was definitely my journey, where we kind of look up and out and like we're longing for that memory that we have as a soul, to have that connection with everything else in the universe or other places that our soul has experienced. But we forget that the earth is part of cosmos itself,
100%. Yeah. Well, is that how you ended up in Glastonbury?
And I think that's what Glastonbury has taught me more than anything. It's been interesting that it felt like I literally got picked up and placed there. And within the first month of me moving there with my husband, we literally got pregnant. Wow. And so it's been where it's home of the goddess, that. And I am in awe of just that town and how in deep reverence to the goddess most people are. And, you go to the Chalice Well on Beltane or in Bulk, or the White Springs is amazing in Bulk. But you'll walk down the street at solstice, and I'm actually wearing my solstice dress. I always wear this at summer solstice. And it's just like Christmas. People say, happy solstice. Yeah, so it's been like, I am just really humbled by how much I've learned, even with the sacred springs there, and so many of the people who live there, and they go and fill up their water from the springs. It's like, it just has opened my mind, my eyes to what I didn't see before, which is right there in front of us.
It is so powerful. It's funny, I hadn't been back to Glastonbury for maybe 5-6 years. Yeah. And I had a period where I lost my voice in January. I couldn't speak. Right. We were texting at the time. I was in Glastonbury. We couldn't make a meetup work, but I had this unexpected trip to Glastonbury because I had to stay in England and recover. And I went with my brother, and we had the most magical time. And just being in the town, I loved it because it was quiet, because it was January, but we had this very special time at the Chalice Well, and just the power of the place and the feminine
Yeah.
which is so strong there. It was fantastic. So and it was very sweet to be texting you while I was there.
I know,
knowing
wasn't
you're
it
somewhere
amazing?
down the road. We can't
And then
go.
we were at Babington House at the same time,
Yeah.
literally just in 2 separate rooms.
It was crazy.
Isn't it amazing?
It was. We just missed each other. But anyway, we said, well, we'll see each other in LA.
But it kind of reminds me of like we were saying off camera before of like we come here in waves, you know, and I'm blown away often by proximity with people and how like it seems like we're doing it on our own, but we're not.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
and that's why I was so grateful when John connected us, because I never would have reached out to you.
No.
But I was so touched to be able to connect with you in that way.
Yeah.
And it was like being brought together in a way.
And
Do you know what I mean? Because I
he's
think so often it's a quite solo
It is.
thing that you're doing.
Especially when you have things come up on the path, and he was so brilliant, wasn't he? Because he's lovely, and he knew to ask me to talk to you, and that was how it. And that but like you said, I think there are so many of us in the same way that, you know, there's a whole anybody listening to or watching this and resonating with it. We're all part of the same wave.
Yes.
We're all, you know, okay, you and I have the talking stick right now. But we're all part of that same wave of consciousness energy building. And
Yes, that's it. And as each of us share our voice or have the conversation or share creations, it activates something in another. And we may or may not be conscious of it. Like I was sharing with you before, I've just popped in to see my friends Lily Ashwell and Blue. And they're creating an amazing oracle deck at the moment. And Blue had said, oh my gosh, your second book, Rise Sister Rise, sparked something in me. Wow. Now, Blue's work, oh my gosh, when I see her kind of channel, oh my gosh, it activates something in me. And that's an example of it's like, it's not like one or the other. It's like we're doing it. It's like things are clicking into place and through the sharing.
And through what you're saying, I'm also reminded of the importance of this time we're all alive. Because, you know, we as a generation, if you live a long life, you might live 100, 110 years if you live a long life. And that seems like a long life. And I think we all get very focused on what's happening on the planet right now. But we are the travelers who've incarnated at the same time together.
Yeah.
And I mean, all of us who are here at this moment in consciousness, when you zoom out and see it through that lens, that's really fascinating, because it's very easy to get into the human stuff and go, oh, well, we're here in 2025 and these are the global issues and da-da-da. Well, yeah, but we're also this long continuum, this brief chapter of history. And there's something about that too, kind of being able to acknowledge and touch each other and go, oh, this is trippy and temporary. And there's something magical about that for me, in the same way you were referring to Mother Earth. There is something incredible about the fact that we're alive. And I think sometimes in the spiritual seeking, we forget that basic, that simple truth. Whether it's because, you know, and I think of my past when I was either trying to get somewhere or striving to get somewhere or driving to get somewhere, and then you're like, oh, we're here. And I think the older you get and the more experiences you have, it becomes easier to drop into that. Anyway,
So true.
that was a strange tangent. But speaking of the more experiences you have, you became a parent about 5 years ago. So 6 years ago, you were carrying your firstborn, your son, and you have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
What has parenthood done for your? I mean, God, that's the biggest game changer, isn't it? What has that done for you as a shift?
Well, first of all, I was always nervous about whether I wanted to become a parent, because I'd always, from a very young age, been very clear on that I was here for a reason. And in a way, I just wanted to get the mission done. Do you know what I mean? I didn't realize how, but I definitely had one foot out, one foot in. When I became a parent, I was all in. All of a sudden I was, and I didn't know that I wasn't before, but all of a sudden I was completely attached to what happens on this planet, like deeply, deeply. It really, it has it has deepened my path more than I could possibly imagine. And also changed my spiritual practice more than I could possibly imagine. I think I've shown up for morning practice like the way I used to, maybe 5 times since I've become a mum. What it taught me is that I didn't realize how compartmentalized my life was, as in my spiritual connection with my normal human self. I thought that because I devoted my whole life to living in authentic alignment with my soul and my soul path and all of that, but I would still go and do my spiritual practice and then I'd come back into my life. Having kids forced me to bring and weave the sacred all the way back in. It also, through the physical initiation of birth, oh my God, it was the most transcendent and imminent experience all at once, the actual birth. Also, I connected with my ancestral line in a way that I had not even scratched the surface of before. So yeah, it really hurtled me into my body, into the ancestral, working with my ancestors, working with the spirits of the land. So it really hurtled me in. I don't know if that's just the power of the initiation of the feminine. Maybe it was also because I was in Glastonbury at the time. But it completely changed me.
Wow, amazing. And how are they as a spiritual influence in your life? Like, who are they as a spiritual influence in your life? Yeah.
Well, Sonny he was born in Caul, so in his little water sack, and he is a deep, deep thinker. There's like prophecies around being born in Caul.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah, he hurtled me into deep, deep ancestral healing. And my daughter then came, I think because he had hurtled me into that deep healing, and she's Sagittarius. She's like a honeybee in a way. But she wouldn't have been able to be here had he not cleared that pathway. So yeah, I think Sonny is more like me in nature, as in like the soul path. And I think Goldie is, she runs the show of my family. Yeah. Oh. But yeah, she kind of brings the joy in as well. So Sonny's got the depth and has requested that of me. The other thing is that I was not prepared for was the reparenting that happens when you have a child, particularly in the first couple of years of their life, and particularly the first 6 months where it's pre-verbal. So the opportunity that comes is that as the child is whatever age they are, it brings up the unhealed parts of you.
Yeah.
And I wasn't ready for that. And I found that first 6 months, especially with Sonny, the first 6 months was lockdown. It was the bushfires. It was a much needed racial reckoning. The whole world was on fire, literally. And I'm a sensitive person anyway, but postpartum is extremely sensitive. And so I don't think it's a mistake when he chose to come, because he has that sensitivity too. So yeah, I definitely chose a hardcore time to be initiated into motherhood.
Yeah.
But if you look at my astrology, I'm pretty hardcore.
No, I'm sure.
A lot of Scorpio.
No, you're also very strong. That's what I feel in your presence. I can feel your strength. So I'm like, you're built for it, whether you like it or not. Yeah. And I think often, balanced sensitives are very strong. I think sometimes people who haven't yet found their strength and yet they've only found their sensitivity, it can be a very difficult path. And then I think that's when you have to work on your strength, or life will get you to work on your strength if you haven't.
Yeah, well, I think my upbringing really supported that. Like, I had a real strong work ethic drilled into me with my mum and dad, and they're super grounded, down to earth type people. So yeah, the mystical conversation and big feelings were like a bit like, what? Yeah. So I think that helped.
Do they enjoy it now, what you do?
Yeah, I mean, my dad still says with every book or whatever, I'm like, so Dad, what do you reckon? When you're dead, you're dead? He's like, yep. Yeah. I mean, they're proud of me for sure.
That's great.
And Yeah, mum was a fashion designer, and so she was very creative. So the creativity was always encouraged. So yeah.
Brilliant. And your latest book is called Your Soul Had a Dream, Your Life Is It. And then the tagline, share the tagline too.
How to be held by life when it feels like everything's falling apart. Which is it's really speaking to these times that we're living in. And, you know, I used to like the term a new earth, and now I'm not trying to like poo-poo any word or whatever. But something wasn't feeling quite right about that every time I would say it. I've got an oracle card that says it. And the shift and this is really what the book's about, is it's about a rebirth for humanity. Because the earth doesn't need us to survive. It will thrive. It will thrive. Yeah. And so it's how are we going to respond to that? And I wrote that book through my, I would call it midlife awakening rather than midlife crisis. It's really a response to these tumultuous times that we're living in. And there is a lot of analogies of nature, like the mystery school of nature, but also birth, which we all were born onto this planet, the two initiations that we will all share, birth and death. And it was born, this book, the energy that I connected with happened. I had a spontaneous mystical experience in my Kirtan teacher training where I essentially hurtled into the center of the earth, into the primordial waters of the earth, and I saw the gateway that all souls travel. So with our first breath and with our last breath as well. And these times that we're living in and how full on and intense they are. But we all and that these times really are about embracing the polarity, not trying to avoid it. The birth and the death, the sweetness and the sorrow, the ecstasy and the agony, and that we chose to be here now in this body, in our ancestral lines, on this planet at this time. And like, what a full-on time that we chose to come. Yeah.
And you said that this book was very different to your previous books.
Oh my God, yes.
In the experience of it. Can you share anything about that?
Well, that mystical experience I had was spontaneous, but I think any transmission that you experience like that takes many years to integrate. And so I was writing this book through that integration, and it felt like it was just seeping into my cells. I also wrote it, as well as it being a period of change on the planet, it was also while I had two babies literally seeding themselves in my body. I wrote a lot of it through pregnancy, through labor, even through contraction, expansion. And so it really is that there really is the codes of birth, the codes of rebirth in it, because like my body was literally knitting soul into form. Yeah. So, which was like a whole new experience for me, obviously. It was different. All my other books, I definitely connected with a consciousness while I was writing it, but it was as if I had lived through that chapter of my life, whether it was Light is the New Black it's really about answering your calling, like saying, yes, I'm going to step into sharing my voice as a light worker, sharing my gifts as a healer or whatever. Rise Sister Rise was embracing the sacred feminine, right? So these are periods that I'd lived through. This one was like I was receiving it while it was physically happening to me. It was very physical.
Which makes sense, because it's funny, the new book feels and looks completely different to the prior three, because you also have letters to a starseed, right? Yeah. So and even I noticed on the cover designs, this new book is the first one that doesn't have the triangle.
Yes.
But not only that, just the whole design, the first three feel like they're exactly as you said. It's like, it was very much the Rebecca Campbell stamp that I knew. Yeah. And it's not that this doesn't have your stamp, but there's definitely, this feels like the beginning of your new phase.
Yes.
Whether this book is a standalone in that new phase, or whether this, who knows? We'll see. We'll find out.
It's interesting because I've got my new Oracle deck coming out on my birthday, September 16.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And that has, so Your Soul Had a Dream, the one you're talking about, is black with pink, which is like, black, Rebecca? What? It's normally pastel. Come on. But this new deck is black and gold on the cover as well. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, I just knew with that book, it couldn't be like shiny and light, because it was about descending into like the womb, the cocoon,
the depths.
Before the rebirth. Yeah, exactly.
And you feel the depth from it, just holding it, and even the cover and everything. So no, it's great. It's great. It's I would argue it's a book for these times, written in these times, but it's probably going to be a really helpful manual for everybody over the coming decades whenever they hit that kind of point or that kind of period, which we all do. That chaos, that rebirth moment, or that tower moment, as tarot would refer to it. How do you find your way back?
Exactly. And reframing that the darkness as like, you know, people see the darkness as the end, but it's also the beginning. It's the void, it's the fertile void, it's the great mother herself, you know. It's like the womb.
Well, another thing that you have embarked upon in recent years is a podcast, which, you know, I also decided to do about I started taping them 6 years ago. And my goal at the time was to spotlight other people and also get more creative voices adding to the pot, so that anyone listening or watching could hear about the creative behind the scenes process, rather than the polished end result that we put out there, which normally has come through quite a journey but can look very shiny. And I know with your podcast, you've had lots of conversations now with lots of different creatives and spiritual teachers and a wide range of people. How have you found having the podcast, and what has it done for you to do that and put that out into the world?
So I've loved it to have conversations with people. The thing that I found challenging with the podcast is working out what the rhythm is. I'm not sure if you find the same. You're such a great creator, particularly when it comes to video and YouTube and all of that. I have struggled with, as a mystic and as a creative, the difference between creating and producing. Do you know what I mean?
Explain.
As in like, when you've got a rhythm to follow, or like, you know, I had started with 2 episodes a week. That was way too much for me.
Good for
you know, I just was like, I'm going to just dive in. Let's see how it goes. And, you know, and yeah, I mean, I find that just generally as a creative, like, because I'm good at following through, but I don't want to just be producing. I want to be creating.
Of course. I
want to be a mystic, not a machine, you know, and I think this is the challenge in these times.
It definitely is.
To not just, especially with content, like any social media content, it's like, oh my gosh, you could literally spend your whole day on social media. Is that what your calling is? I don't know. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's been the challenge for me, working out what is the right rhythm, how to do like seasons versus just continuing for it to go on and on and on. Yeah. How do you find it?
Well, it was interesting because at the beginning we were doing one a week and we did that for almost, I think, 3 years.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
3 years.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, you know, you've got the conversation, but even our conversation today, which is going to last about an hour or less.
Yeah.
Both of us, there have been many hours around this conversation to make today happen. And then there's a team of people who work with me, and it goes through art creation and editing and all that stuff. So there's a lot of effort. And I think after 3 years, we just needed a break.
Yeah.
So we paused the season, and then we came back with a season 2.
Yeah.
And I think we're now in season 3, and we had about a year and a half away just because of the production. Like you said, it was but to your point, one of the things I like about and I haven't known everything you've done over the years, but, you know, I've seen you all these years doing your work. I feel you are very honoring of your rhythm. I also acknowledge you've got 2 kids, which, you know, is its own like 4 full-time jobs. But But I feel like you do honor that. And I actually think we should. Like this time we're doing a season. There's a little part of me that goes, oh, I'd love to do this every week. But I also have to be realistic. There are so many other things we do that are also important. And, everything you embark on, I found that because of having a producer's mind now, every creative thing I embark upon, I'm a realist about. Back in the day, I was just a visionary, and I'd be like, yeah, let's do this. That's great.
Yeah.
But now I know that I'm going to mobilize a number of people, time and effort behind it. I'm like, can we? So, but I from what I've seen, the way you're doing it with your rhythm, I think it's great. And podcasts live forever. People can go and find the episodes. I listened to one of your shows, I think I just told you, and I think it was about a year old, but I chose it based on, I recognize the guest. I'm going to listen to that one. And so they're always there, aren't they?
So good. Yeah.
But I've personally loved getting to know people.
Yeah,
like I
feel
did
the
it
same.
to kind of spotlight people, and actually the beautiful thing for me has been getting to know people I would
agree.
never have maybe met.
It's the connection. And it's like you and I, we probably would have caught up, but we use this as a thing,
maybe.
but it probably wouldn't have happened, but we had a reason to talk. And that's why, I really, it kind of comes back to what we were just saying before around like activating things in each other. Like we all do that with each other. And
100%.
that's what I really like about it too.
Yeah. So here we are in 2025, 2013 you. If she could see your life now, what would surprise her? What would please her?
Well, I mean, I don't think she didn't understand it at the time, but she would be like, oh my gosh, I didn't even understand how dysregulated my nervous system was. Do you know what I mean?
I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Oh my God. Yeah. And I think that, she'd definitely feel really like at peace and relieved that I'm in a relationship and then I've got kids, and because she was definitely afraid that it might not happen, but also afraid that it would happen. Very afraid. Yeah. Like she might miss her moment,
Yeah. And now she's in it. I think as well, gosh, when I look back, I don't know if you're the same, but the what I used to have to go through in order to get on stage or teach the workshop or do the retreat, oh my gosh, it was exhausting. Yeah.
Absolutely exhausting. Yeah.
Actually, that's a really good point. There is something to it becomes such muscle memory, doesn't it? It's like anything, when you do something a lot. That's a really good point. Yeah, I'm now remembering, things felt like a really big deal.
Huge
15
deal.
years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's like, this is my job, this is what I do, and something in my body knows how to.
It's so true. And you know what? That's I think been the biggest blessing with the podcast, because as you know, like especially if you started in 2006, it is such a steep learning curve working out lights and camera, and you go through so many iterations of things.
Yeah.
And then when you've just got it all set up, like you've got here, everything's just here, and all you do is just arrive now. Oh my gosh, when I think back before, it was such a big deal to do anything.
That's true. I always used to film, so I do my energy updates, which is this monthly video that comes out on the 1st of every month, and I've been doing them now since 2012. I always used to do them outside. And that was lovely because it was nature, but it was a nightmare logistically, like, because I didn't have lights. I was often by myself with a camera. So you'd have to find the right sunset lighting or the right shade. I'd go to parks, and
my God.
It was horrendous sometimes.
Yes.
And so, there was a moment when we decided to start doing them in the studio, and understandably a few of the comments were like, I miss nature. And I'm like, then you have to go and watch a nature video. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Watch me for the information and then go and watch, because I can no longer, not with everything else we do, I can no longer be messing around on beaches trying to, it's too much.
So true. Yeah, my version of that is I used to, because as you said, beauty is so important to me. I used to spend so much money and time sourcing the most beautiful flowers, and now I just have silk flowers that are just constantly there. It's so basic. Like, why did I do that before?
Yeah.
But it was these little things that I felt like I probably was doing it to distract myself because I was nervous.
Maybe, or also there's the ceremony side. So
there's
the
too.
shaman in you was, so maybe it was nervous, but
it was a bit
it was
of
also
both,
a bit
but it was
of world
also like it
building.
had to be like perfect.
Right. Well, speaking of perfect, if Rebecca Campbell, they make a film of your life, Kate Blanchett needs to be the person to do it. Because ever since I've seen you with that, I'm like, gosh, I know.
What a compliment. Thank you.
Well, we'll see if she's available.
Okay, great.
I don't think she's busy.
No, she'll be fine. Yeah.
I have high hopes for her career one day. She's fantastic. But yeah, totally. Well, it's been such a pleasure speaking to you.
Lee.
And I know you have your sanctuary, your online community, you have all of your books, all of your decks, your podcast, and there will be many more things to come from you in the years to come. But it's been a real pleasure getting to finally meet you in person after admiring you and the way you do things for so many years. So
Likewise.
Thanks for coming onto the show.
Thank you, Lee.
Yeah. So
Thanks.
you can find all of Rebecca's work and offerings at rebeccacampbell.me. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Hope you've enjoyed this conversation. Hope it's inspired you with your own creativity or tuning in. And until we see you next time on Impact the World, take good care of yourself and take good care of each other. Thanks. London, are you ready for energy mastery? Who here likes the idea of a little bit of gentleness after the last few months? Yeah, me too.
Embrace your power and transform your life over a weekend of cosmic connection and soul expansion with Lee Harris.
When you come together with a focused intent to increase your energy mastery, and you do that with a group of people, incredible amplification happens. Think about how many of you, as you get older, marvel at how fast time is moving. Seize the limits of linear time to motivate you to live.
Join us for channeled wisdom, grounded teaching, soul-infused music with Devor Bozique, community participation, and connection.
Like hit my soul in a level of like, wow, these are the things that I know, I'm thinking, I'm feeling, and how is somebody who I've never met speaking so much wisdom and truth?
I just saw people, their shoulders back, the light in their eyes, and the glow around their being. And I felt the same way. It's beautiful to witness.
Step into your energy mastery to reset and reconnect.
You are allowed. Create, creator, create. You never know who's going to show up. You never know what's going to be asked. You never know what's going to be focused in the room. It's the beauty of being live with each other that is its own co-creative mystery.
Energy Mastery with Lee Harris, September 13th and 14th in London.
Thank you so much for being here.
Limited seating. Reserve now.